Greetings, this is Obi-Wan Kenobi, and I have drifted into the Underworld. The Star Wars Underworld. I have a bad feeling about this.
Here we go. We must go to the lower levels. The Underworld.
You've taken your first step into a larger world.
You're after something.
Ben.
Since I've started the Underworld, I've met so many great friends.
Chris.
I grew up in the 1990s, and mall packaging is nostalgic for me.
Dominic.
What I love most about Star Wars is that it's fun, and it's all-round good times.
So, this is where the fun begins.
May the Force be with us.
This thing really moves!
I like this!
I can't believe you came all this way to see me.
Why am I not in the intro? I gotta come up with a snappy line.
Oh. Oh, no. Well, and just like that, it does seem that Ben's internet decided to crash on him the moment this intro has ended. But don't worry, folks. This is Joel Davis here. And hopefully I'll take over as co-host until Ben returns. Jeff, and I'm joined with our good buddy Jeff. Jeff, are you here? And can you hear me?
I am here. I can hear you, Joel. Ben looks to be frozen on the screen right now. But yeah, I just want to say it's a momentous occasion to be here. You know, I've been a long-time listener to the Star Wars Underworld for about 12 years now. Mm-hmm. And today, the Underworld celebrates its 15th anniversary. I believe it's today, if I recall correctly. Yeah. Big clap all around.
Applause, everybody! Applause.
I got Mr. Porg here, ready to hang out, just chilling here, and I'm hyped to be here, Joel. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for having us. And there goes Ben and all the nice little cutouts he was going to use for us. So, folks, good news. Since I have control of the stream, thanks to being on StreamYard, I can play this while we either wait for Ben or I will continue to co-host the show. So here we go.
Ben Hart, the Star Wars guy.
Yes!
Ben Hart, the Star Wars guy.
Star Wars rules.
This is momentous. This is exciting. Why, hello there, Ben.
Ben Hart, the Star Wars guy.
He is the founder of the Star Wars Underworld, Mr. Ben Hart.
How's it going, everybody?
Man.
Gotta love it. While we wait for Ben, of course, don't forget to subscribe, click that like button. We need all them likes, especially for the 15th anniversary. Maybe if you can get us 15 likes. I don't know what we'll do, but we'll definitely do something for you guys. And of course, super chats. We love the super chats, even though I'm on the show. I super chatted my way to the show.
Yeah, you love doing super chats, Joel, all the time.
I'm like 90% of this YouTube
You're a legend.
income. So yeah, I am. And of course, you can always become a channel member. Just click that channel member button. You'll get all sorts of fun stuff. And subscribe and send a review to our Apple Podcast, YouTube Music, and Spotify. And of course, don't forget to join our Discord. Yes, we have a link to the Discord, the Star Wars Underworld Discord, in the link below. I'm sure Jeff is talking to Ben to make sure that he's on his way back while he do that, because I can tell. This week, Friday, 6 p.m., we will be streaming Rogue One, a Star Wars story. That's right, folks. As Andor gets close to us, we're going to be watching, in a lot of ways, what's going to be the penultimate episode of Andor before the season 2 is even aired. That's so fun of Tony Gilroy to do that for us. So that will be fun. Last week, of course, we had a very fun game night, of which Jeff was also a part of. Wasn't that right, Jeff?
Oh, absolutely. Those game nights are fun. I mean, we play Fortnite all the time, Joel, and all the Star Wars content. They're rumored to have like the big old Star Wars Battle Pass for May the 4th, like starting, I believe, Friday, May 2nd. At least it's rumored, but man, all the Star Wars content in Fortnite. And we play other games. We've played Star Wars Hunters and Fall Guys. I think we played Overwatch 2 for a bit there, Joel. We should get back into that. It's been a hot minute.
We We should. I do love playing Overwatch. I wish there was more Star Wars Overwatch crossover.
Hey, they had that Jedi Fallen Order one. You know, EA loves their crossovers, right?
That's true.
With Apex and Respawn, and you
Mm-hmm.
know, I think what was it? They had that Pathfinder skin that was.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, my brain's borching right now, but I believe it's a portion of. It was a character from Jedi Fallen Order. So I think they're gonna. That reminds me, about that Bit Reactor game. That Respawn, the strategy. They're gonna have that panel on at Celebration.
I know. And speaking of Celebration, that is what our topic will be tonight. We'll be getting us hyped for Celebration. We'll maybe have a little bit of a discussion about all the panels to come, what we're hyped about. I don't think there's anything we're not hyped about. I can't think of anything we're not less hyped about. We might discuss a little bit about our favorite seasons of Star Wars television as part of the build-up to Andor, and that, and much, much more. But speaking of Celebration, I guess since you're the game guy, Jeff, I consider you our game guy.
Don't discount your knowledge. You know some stuff too, Joel. I know you do.
And that's true. That's true. I'm actually very curious about that Bit Reactor game because I'm not quite sure what the actual genre is. I mean, I know it's like an RTS, but to me, RTS means so many things. I think of Galactic Battlegrounds. I think of Empire at War, the gold standard for Star Wars, at least. If you want outside of Star Wars, I mean, I always think of Command and Conquer, which is another beloved. But
Fire Emblem.
Fire Emblem, Total War. I love those games. But I'm not quite sure what to make of what kind of RTS. Are we doing base building? I'm not even quite sure what Bit Reactor actually does.
I'm not even sure yet myself. I recall there was a brief rumored clip that somebody leaked on Reddit or something a week ago. But I think it showed Bo-Katan as the playable character in that section, and it had it's like they're shooting a stormtrooper or something. Again, vague memory that I'm relying on here, but I just think, I mean, like you said, Joel, it's been a long time since we had a Star Wars real-time strategy game. Even if it's whether it's something like, say, Empire at War, Total War, or if it's something like Mario plus Rabbids, a couple of those games that we've had on the Switch, or I think of Persona 5 Strikers, right? But to see the Star Wars twist on this genre, it's not something we haven't seen this sort of thing in a long time. Empire at War might have been the last one, Joel.
I know. Sorry, that's my cat.
I love your cat, Joel.
Yes. I mean, you don't think you want to show her backside. Yes. But yeah, I'm very interested. It looks like one of those. These might be leaks, so if we're spoiling things, I apologize. It does look like one of those. I don't think it's like a turn-based where it's you move a player and then they move a player. It does look a little bit more free-flowing. But I don't know. I mean, it's cool if it's got Mandalorians. I mean, hey, good time to be Mandalorian, am I right? For next year.
Oh yeah, I've been telling you and Ben privately, the Mandalorian and Grogu, the next Star Wars movie, the first movie we've had in 6.5 years, almost 7 years, since Rise of Skywalker, until May of 2026 when it's supposed to come out. Man, what a time for Mando, right?
I know. What a time for Mando. And a Mando game, too. I mean, there we go. Oh, hang on, people. Is it?
Ooh.
Is it? Does he live?
Is this thing on? Is this thing on?
It is.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Did anybody catch a single word that I said at the beginning of the show?
Nope. You got mute and you froze and you left and I took over. We played the song, of course.
Well, thank you. Thank you for... It's funny. I was joking before the show. I'm like, okay, you guys are going to take over if I disappear. Just the show is yours, and it is now. It is. I'm the guest now. You are the host. So congratulations, you've been promoted.
Yes, welcome to the Star Wars Underworld, hosted by Joel and Jeff. The Jays are in charge. We are now down to the alphabet.
I love it. Honestly, you probably did a better job at the intro than I could have. So really couldn't have worked out much worse. But so hi guys, how's it going?
I like that camera angle of yours better, Ben. You get to see more of the Star Wars.
Yeah, you see, there's showing a little too much actually there. It's just this is not becoming of my setup. Okay, I'm not okay with this. But whatever. Gonna be crap audio quality. As my computer just freezes, it's just sitting there. It's not doing anything.
Minox, man.
It just
they always
froze.
Attack.
And I kept talking because I'm like, well, they may be able to hear me. I don't know. But you couldn't. So that's how it goes.
But like any good host, the show must go on.
So what have you covered? What did you cover while I was gone?
We just did basic intro. We did the song.
Did the socials.
We did the Discord, and we started getting a conversation about the Bit Reactor game that they're going to show in Celebration, and what the heck kind of genre it's going to be. Because I'm not quite sure. It's like, I think when I think of RTS, again, I think of Galactic Battlegrounds. I think of Empire at War. I think of Command and Conquer and Total War. If you want non-Star Wars examples, I don't know if that's any of those types of games because I've never played a Bit Reactor game. I think.
And I think we're going to learn more information about that at Celebration. I think that's going to be like, okay, here we are. Here's what this game is. Boom, here's a trailer, right? They're going to, at that panel, I think we're going to get that information. We just, the last official announcement we had of that game was that, oh yeah, Respawn Entertainment and Bit Reactor. It's just the announcement that it was in development, right? But I still think even that's incredible that we're going to have, I think it's what is it called? A combat strategy game? So it's, we'll find out in a week and a half when that panel hits. It's in Japan.
Yep.
Yeah, as you said, we're a lot of stuff is happening. Celebration is a little over a week away as we stand right now. So getting the pre-celebration jitters, and then a little after that we'll have Andor season 2, and a whole lot more. So it's a wild time. A lot of stuff happening today. A lot of stuff happened.
I know.
Did you guys see the whole Andor thing?
I did. I was watching. I saw the SWU Blue Sky, and people love Stellan Skarsgård's outfit.
I know. That freaking blew up. Everyone loves Stellan Skarsgård's very, very casual look. I wish I had the picture earlier, but it was on my computer. The computer blew up. So I just love all the reactions. Pablo Hidalgo, of all people, was just like, that's what I was gonna wear, and I was like, okay, this is great. This is going super viral. I love this. But so there was an event in London today for Andor season 2. It was a sneak peek, whatever the heck that means. That's gonna be interesting. How I don't know if they showed any footage or anything like that, but we shall see how that goes.
So do you know if they're going to have like a full-on premiere? Like, I know that often happens the first week of the, as the show airs. I know they've done like with Mandalorian, they've done like 3 straight episodes for the premiere crowd. You know if they're doing that for Andor season 2?
Yeah, you'll have to talk to the influencers. Mm-hmm. They get invited to those events. Wink, 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 not us. Mm-hmm. Because so otherwise they really don't announce those things, usually speaking. So I'd be very curious to know. I'm wondering if today's was kind of a premiere, it was a sneak peek thing. I like if they showed a couple of episodes, maybe. I would assume they would have like a full-on premiere, like you're talking about, and have like, okay, we're gonna show the first 3 episodes, do a full premiere. They had most of the cast in London today, so that might count. That may be just like being that the show was mostly filmed in the UK, I think. I think this is, and there's obviously a lot of UK actors in this show. So it makes sense to like throw the British a bone, give them a big event, but they also could do some Hollywood thing. Perhaps this weekend, or maybe early next weekend, or early next week, I should say. So we shall see. But very, very exciting to see that happening, and shows that we're getting close.
I saw Jason Momoa there as well. What, is he in the show, or is he dating someone? Or
so he is the +1 for Adria Arjona. I went down a celebrity gossip rabbit hole today because I'm like, okay, why is he there? Oh, they're dating. Okay, I get it now.
Could you imagine if Jason Momoa just has a brief cameo? Wouldn't that be so sweet?
That'd be cool.
I mean,
He'd fit with
Stranger
Saw's
Things have
Artisans, I
happened.
think. I can see him as part of like Saw's group. Can you imagine, like, Big Mo's big guy, kind of got the tattoos. So it's like him and Saw together.
Yeah. So I don't know. Jason Momoa and Star Wars, is that a thing? Could it happen? I don't know. We'll see. But very, very cool. Other breaking news we should get to is some book news. Apparently came out today. What's interesting about this is that they're continuing to release stuff, like pre-celebration, like show us stuff. I'm like, this would be great at a Star Wars Celebration panel, but apparently they're like, nope, we're just going to drop it now on a
Just like Tales
Thursday,
of the Underworld,
which,
right?
Thanks, Lucasfilm. Random Thursdays, we love when news drops on Random Thursdays. It gives us stuff to talk about. So yes, but the biggest reveal out of this was the what's it called?
The Master of Evil book.
Master of Evil, which was teased. I think it was last week.
Yes,
there was a listing that popped up and was getting circulated on Blue Sky, and Adam Christopher was like, I wonder what this is. And then people were like, okay, all right, new novel for Darth Vader, obviously, and it's written by Adam Christopher. The cat's out of the bag there. So this was kind of a formality in a way of announcing that this is actually a thing. And apparently it's set between episode 3 and 4.
Oh, I got the answer. I have the answer because Penguin Random House so lovely put a summary of the book, and I have it with me. You mind if I read it?
Not seen, by all means, I haven't seen this.
After Revenge of the Sith, a newly forged Darth Vader hunts for the secrets of life and death under the watchful eye of Emperor Palpatine. In the wake of Emperor Palpatine's rise to power, the true nature of his most sinister enforcer remains a mystery. Darth Vader's dormant yet elusive figure, the shadow cast by a malignant imperial regime, unknowable to even its top officials. But even as the humanity gives way to myth, Vader remains haunted by the promises of the dark side, seeking the ultimate power that his master has hinted at, but withheld, the power to conquer death itself. On the volcanic world of Mustafar, Vader undertakes a dark ritual, bleeding his kyber crystal to forge his lightsaber. This act unleashes a power far greater than he anticipated, giving him a glimpse into limitless potential of the Force. Vader is determined to follow this vision, even if it means defying his master's orders. Yet, he finds the Emperor suspiciously supportive of his mission, even sending Vader to the Disso system to investigate rumors of a Force-wielding shaman able to raise the dead. At his side, a cadre of Imperial Scarlet-robed Royal Guard, led by Colonel Howland Goss, a decorated soldier with a very personal interest in Vader's mission. Even as the Emperor's true motivation reveals himself, Vader falls deeper into obsession. His journey takes him far across the galaxy, chasing rumors of phantoms, but no matter how far he travels, he cannot escape the shadow of within his own soul. Haunted by the echoes of the past, Vader circles the true resolution to his quest. Only once all weaknesses purged can he become a master of evil. There we go.
Bravo.
Thank you.
I believe you just read the whole book. Like, that was a hell of a synopsis. I believe that was the whole thing.
That was a whole chapter, right, Ben?
Yeah, pretty much. That's really interesting. The cover art, which again, I wish I could show you, but technology being the way it is, very creepy, and but it also makes sense. I mean, he's done this in the comics. Vader has tried to resurrect Padme.
Let me see if I can.
Oh, there you go. Perfect.
We'll do the cheap version.
Also, I'm assuming everyone listening or watching to this, has access to the internet. You can just Google this stuff. It's not that big a deal. So it makes sense that Vader would do this, really, truly. Like, I think it makes sense that, like, the reason he is the way he is because he tried to save his wife from death. So the next step after that, and we know this from history, that, Sith kind of have a thing with trying to cheat death and trying to, not die. So I liked it. I like that they're going to explore this. Obviously, I can understand kind of the eye roll of, well, Darth Vader's getting another novel. He hasn't already gotten at least 2 other novels, I think. Not to mention
comic books. He hasn't actually been in a lot of novels.
Well, there's the Legends novel. I guess this is the first like canon novel. I'm thinking of, was it Labyrinth of Evil? Is mostly focused on Darth Vader, and then you have which is not really about Vader, but it's the Cham Syndulla Sidious Palpatine novel where they're on Ryloth. One of my favorites. I forget the name of it, but it's
Lords
really...
of the Sith, I believe.
Lords of the Sith. There you go. That's a great one. There you go. That's a great one. So there's never been a shortage of Vader content, and I doubt there's ever going to be a shortage of Vader content. I'm sure there's plenty of other characters that would very much deserve a novel, but I think Adam Christopher has more than proven himself, and I think this is very interesting outing. So I'm very, 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 very excited about this.
I think it's interesting, that point you made, Ben, because it's also in a time frame that I think a lot of Star Wars fans feel is oversaturated. The 19-year time frame between 3 and 4. Like there have been so many stories, like look at Andor, Rebels,
right?
Jedi Fallen Order. Yep, perfect. Jedi Survivor. Like there's so many stories in between.
Bad Batch.
Bad Batch, great example. Yeah, like there's so many stories in between it that it's just like. It's also like, oh, great, another one in between the prequels and the originals, right?
Right.
But I still think, for a 19-year time frame, like there's still a lot of storytelling of like the psyche of Darth Vader. Like his character is one of the most is probably the most fascinating character in Star Wars history. It's why he's so revered as a villain and why like his prequel story is so tragic. And merging those two together, that was why. Before the sequel trilogy came out, because I'm like Joel, I love sequel trilogy a lot. Like Revenge of the Sith was my favorite movie because it, in my opinion, perfectly melded the gaps and it filled in the story of Vader and that transition that happened. And I think there's always something, more to tell because, like you were saying, Ben, Sith love rejuvenation. Like look at Palpatine, all the clones Palpatine stories, all the clones that have been made, and like trying to be immortal. And that's sort of, I love when you see that in mythology or in fictional media of having that, of just like how can we keep going? How can we have unlimited power? As I knew Joel was trying to say earlier.
Yeah, no, I think you look at Palpatine. Like I know. A lot of people have qualms with The Rise of Skywalker. I also have qualms with The Rise of Skywalker. But one qualm I do not have is Palpatine. It's like, that is totally a Palpatine move to be like, nah, I'm not going to die. I'm actually not going to die. I'm going to come back. Somehow I'm going to come back and I'm going to wreak havoc again. And like, that's the Sith way. That is things. They are obsessed with, they don't get a Jedi heaven. There is no Sith heaven, okay? They don't get to come back as a blue sparkly ghost. So naturally, they're going to get obsessed with the whole, I'm going to live in the present now. I'm going to live forever. And I know they're not canon, but like the Darth Bane novels from way back in the day, like those are great. And they explore that concept very much so. Just the whole idea of,
that was
finding the
Plagueis' whole
path to
thing.
immortality.
That was Plagueis' whole thing. He was all about that immortality.
Yeah, Plagueis is a great example.
It's funny on Ion Cannon. Shout out to Ion Cannon, by the way, which I actually did not plug at the beginning of the show, and I feel bad about that. Go watch that. Go watch that after this. Matthew and I were talking about how it's always funny how I think sometimes it's kind of hard to imagine Vader as a Sith because you think guys. I think the Emperor is sort of like the archetype says, he's got the hood, he got the magic, he's doing stuff. It's Vader, he's kind of just more of the enforcer, like he's just stomping in, wrecking havoc, the hallway scene that at least from the movie's perspective, it's sort of funny to think of him as a Sith, which is a great irony because if you just go by the original trilogy, Vader was always the Dark Lord of the Sith, and the Emperor actually was never confirmed to be a Sith until 1999's Phantom Menace. But I won't get into that because that's a long tangent that I don't want to get into that deeply, unless you ask. But what's funny is I think a lot of the expanded material, both Legends and canon, are trying to show. Actually, no, Vader did do a lot of weird Sithy stuff, and I think this novel is going to go into like, oh yeah, Vader also did like you don't think of Vader as someone who's like sits down and just reads Sith lore, like he's studying his Sith Bible or something, right? Or Matthew and I would go like, we could have philosophical debates on Sithism. But like that's kind of cool to hear. Like, no, like you're next to see Vader's like he's studying the holocrons, he's studying the sacred Sith texts.
Well, and there is this
sacred
thing,
texts,
and there is this thing, and I think in the lore of like there is this prejudice between like quote unquote full-blooded Sith like Palpatine and Maul versus like the Jedi turned Sith that we have in like Dooku, Anakin, Vader. Maul's very iconic line, "This Sith pretender Dooku," like all this thing is like, I'm the true Dark Lord of the Sith because I was raised in the darkness, molded by it, instead of just I came in late. So I like and exploring that because Vader is arguably the most iconic Sith Lord of all time. Getting into his head a little bit more. We've got into it a lot, but I think the books can do stuff that obviously the movies could never do. So what's that like? I think Adam Christopher is up to the challenge with that.
And I also like that it's a horror book. Like it looks like a genuine horror novel.
Interesting. Because Vader is a horrific character. Like the immolation scene, like his, Vader's many prosthetic parts, as the song goes, or whatever the thing is. He's a very scary character from the outside. He's always been scary. People have been scared of Vader since 1977. Like that's nothing new, but the mechanics of him are very thick. I think getting into that and that book cover is gnarly.
I'm not gonna lie, Ben. Like when I think I was 7 years old, I dressed up as Darth Vader for Halloween.
Oh my god!
And I scared some kids. I'm telling you. I'm like trick or treat, and Darth Vader with my little pumpkin jack-o'-lantern.
Yeah, I mean it's easy. It's easy for us to forget how intimidating Vader is because like you've seen freaking Robot Chicken, Star Wars, and him breakdancing. Like you've seen all this kind of stuff. It's easy to forget like Vader is a series, and I think one thing that this new era has done is like make Vader even more menacing, like make him even more of a threatening aura, and so very curious to see where this goes.
I don't want to turn this into tangents too much, but I've always
it's already tangents.
But I've always wondered, and I kind of. I mean, I want to get your opinions on this, Ben and Jeff, if you don't mind. I'm turning this into my own show. This is what I would ask on my Ion Cannon show. I always wonder, do you ever guys worry? I mean, not worry, that's not the right word. But you ever guys, like, when you read all the expand materials, like, all the stuff Vader does and all the kind of the evil he does, and then you, like, look at, like, the end of Return of the Jedi, it's like, Vader done so much evil. It's like, at this point, do you really deserve to be a Force ghost? So, like, if it's one thing if you don't see it in the movies outside of him intentionally offing the younglings, but when you read the comics and like, oh, it's Tuesday, Vader's just chopping down a village, and now he's trying to bring back the corpses of people, and it's like he's making commune with ancient Sith spirits of evil and sacrificing more of his soul. It's like
all normal stuff, stuff.
Like,
it's just an average Tuesday.
No big deal.
You ever watch Return of the Jedi with all that stuff in your head, and then go, you became you got to be a Force ghost so easily after you just killed the Emperor? I mean, I know that was a big deal, but it's like, you get 30 years of this, and every Tuesday was just Massacre of Village Tuesday for you.
Well, technically it was 23, but I digress.
That's true. 33.
19 BBY to 4 ABY, But like that notwithstanding, like, I always fall back on old Ben Kenobi's story to Luke, and in A New Hope, where he was like, Anakin was taken over by a young Jedi named Darth Vader. And while it may be partially retconned by later developments in the original trilogy, as most of us know, like I think it's that idea that like, there is this evil front, it's almost like a split personality crisis where you have the Anakin Skywalker side and the Darth Vader side. And you see that. That's what I love about Revenge of the Sith, is that it shows that perfectly. Boom, instantly when Anakin becomes evil. It's so well executed, in my opinion.
Yeah, for sure.
And with that regard, I think that's why, like, when Darth Vader stopped being Vader, he became Anakin Skywalker. That's why he could be a Force ghost, to answer your question, Joel.
See, I think I take the end of Return of the Jedi as it's not like true redemption. Like, I think true redemption is like, which is something that I was really hoping for Kylo Ren to get a chance to do, which is like, it's not only making the right choice, but having a chance to do more right than wrong. And that's the ultimate things. As human beings, as it's just people, normal people living in the real world, you want to try to do more good than bad. And I think that's the struggle of the light versus the dark side. Because what George Lucas has injected into these movies is the idea of, it's a daily struggle, choosing the light side. Mm-hmm. And in that moment, it's Anakin finally making the right choice and saying, I'm going to think. I think that's the lesson that I take from Return of the Jedi is like, no matter how much bad you do, no matter how many terrible choices you do, how many people you hurt, you can still at the end of the day make that choice to do the right thing at the end, because there's people in the real world that are self-loathing, that hate themselves like Vader did, and can just go, well, I'm too far gone, blah, 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 things. And that's not the way to look at it. And is it true redemption? No, it's not. He didn't I think true redemption would be like, he did save his son in the eyes of his family, well, at least some people in his family, at least Luke. I don't know about Leia. He did redeem himself because he saved Luke, but there was a lot more that he did. I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that didn't exactly want to, forgive Anakin Skywalker or Darth Vader if they even knew that they were one of the same person. So all that is to say that it's not the best example of redemption. I think redemption is a spectrum in a way.
The spectrum. Leia never did. As far as Leia's concerned, Vader killed her father, and her father's not Anakin Skywalker. I'll tell you that. Her father's Bail Organa of Alderaan, and he got blowed up on Alderaan
by Vader, basically.
By Vader. No, Vader tortured Leia. There's a revenge. That's not just like a canon thing. That's in the New Hope, right? The droid with the needle going doop 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 doop.
Right, exactly.
He was there
and,
for torture.
And that's the thing. It's that thing that people gloss over. It's just like there's this whole focus on Anakin, Padme. Anakin's their father. Beru and Owen raised Luke Skywalker. The reason he's a decent person and is a good person and becomes the hero is because of them. And the reason Leia is such a good, political person, military leader, is because of Bail and Breha Organa. That's the long and short of it. They are their parents. And I think, Star Wars has a very strong found family message that I think it sometimes forgets about completely. And by default, some people in the fandom forget it, especially when certain characters decide to choose their fate and decide to choose their last name. And they're just like, no, you're that other person's granddaughter. And I'm like, you're missing the point.
You're a Kenobi.
Guys. You're missing the point.
It's funny you brought that up, Ben, because on Ion Cannon again, I'm just going to keep promoting Ion Cannon every time I can. This is the Ion Cannon promotion show.
Wink, wink.
Wink, wink, wink. It's funny, we were reading some comments, and someone, pointed us out and reminded us, as much as the Jin Galen relationship's important to Rogue One, it's kind of important to remember Saw Gerrera raised Jin for a good several years, up to her late teens. And in a lot of ways, Jin is just as much his daughter as much as he's Galen's. So,
I was literally thinking about the other day of the fact that I think she may have spent more time with, you'd have to actually do the math, because I know she was 16 when Saw abandoned her, but I know for a fact there's a good amount of time. He took her from being a really small kid to being basically a teenager. And obviously being a child soldier can kind of mess with your head. She wasn't a completely well-rounded individual, but she was a good person that cared about the rebellion, seeming to be, and really seemed to care about him. And he's got a lot of stuff going on. I think it's easy to hate Saw Gerrera for many, many things that he's done. Still haven't forgotten about Tech, okay? Still have not forgotten. But there's also, as with any person, there's good and there's bad. I think that's the moral lesson of the things of you can be Anakin Skywalker, you can be Darth Vader. Whatever defines you in the end is how people see you and what you do.
Pretty much.
So let's put a pin in this, okay? We have other things to talk about, okay? Also, my computer just came up, so maybe I'll actually be switching back over to that in a second. But we have a few other things to talk about, and we have some questions. We have one specific topic that was inspired by you, Joel, that I do want to get to before the end of the show. But for the meantime here, let's move on to the next bit. Oh, did you guys discuss the thing? Did you guys mention the thing? The special thing that happened today?
The special thing that happened today. I mean, we didn't talk about the other two books about the.
There were a lot of special things that happened today.
The books.
The anniversary.
The books can wait. Okay.
Oh,
we have something special.
The 15th anniversary of the SWU, right?
Yes, we did. I talked about the beginning. Yes.
Yes. So, yeah. Thanks, guys.
We got to hear it from the founder. We got to hear it from you, Ben, the founder of the Star Wars Underworld.
I did the applause. I do it again.
No, literally today is our 15th anniversary, and it's pretty wild. It's pretty interesting and very, very exciting. I don't know how this ended up, and I don't know how it ended up starting our show on our 50th anniversary, and none of the hosts were on the show. Like literally at the start of the show, and I came in late. So who thinks? But you guys were here to things, and you guys have been here, almost as long as we have. So
I gotta ask you this, Ben, because I know we've talked about it before, and I'm sure you've said it on this podcast many a time. But if, in case somebody out there may be some people who this is their first episode of the Star Wars Underworld podcast. So, what is the origin story of the Star Wars Underworld, Ben?
Oh, you want to hear that again?
Yes.
They want to hear that again?
Yes. Tell us.
All right, I'll give the abridged version this time. So, I was bored. I created a Facebook page, and it got kind of popular. And then some guy came along and was like, yeah, we should start a podcast. And I was like, what's a podcast? And I was like, okay, we'll do that. And then another guy showed up, and then another girl showed up, and then now we're here.
Oh, well, and you know what's funny? You named it after a TV show that never got made.
For the record, there was no Underworld anything back in the day, okay? This was almost Star Wars Underground. It was that's another tidbit.
Okay.
There was a Facebook group called Star Wars Underground, I think. And that's why I was like, okay, that's all right, and the name's already taken. I can't do that. So, and then I changed it to Underworld.
So have you, as you were saying on last week's episode, Ben, have you sued Disney over the Underworld, the Tales of the Underworld name?
We are discussing it. We're discussing litigation with our lawyers. I can no longer further discuss that at this time until we have some further evidence. So that's it.
I now have this image, and I don't know if you'll get the joke, Ben, because depending how much of a Simpsons fan you are, you with Lionel Hutz and Bob Iger, like, well, I have 10 priced high lawyers, and like 10 lawyers just show up, and your lawyer just like screams and runs out, and like, hey, he left his briefcase, and there was nothing in it, so it's like you were doomed from the start. Oh, don't mess with the mouth of lawyers.
Yeah, I know I said something brief at the top of the episode, but I just want to say this real quick. Like I say, I started listening to the Star Wars Underworld podcast. I think it was February 2013 during hashtag Save the Clone Wars, right when they canceled the Clone Wars. And I'm like, what the heck, Disney? Why are you canceling my favorite show, the Clone Wars? And
that was wild time.
That was a wild time. And so just to see how far we've come, like with all the Star Wars content we've gotten in the past 10 years. The Force Awakens is 10 years old, for example, and just everything, how Star Wars has progressed as a fandom, as a community, as a passion, and how the Star Wars Underworld, it was just an audio only podcast on I forgot what platform you used at first, and then you went to Mixler, and then now it's been a video podcast for the past few years. So just the progression of the SWU brand, the growth of y'all's Facebook page, other than that one time when Facebook deleted that old Underworld page because that was weird.
Zuckerberg!
But yeah, it's just nice continuity. Like, it's rare to have that continuity on any show where you have, for so many years, Chris, Dom, you, Ben, obviously Hannah now. Like, that continuity is not something you get very often in the entertainment or podcasting worlds. So massive kudos, and I love that, for all these years of, I love hearing myself twice. But yeah, I just love after all these years of being a listener and occasional caller of the show myself, just now that I'm on the Underworld podcast. So there's my thing. I'll be quiet now.
Oh, no.
Can you hear me now? Is this thing on?
Sound good, Ben?
Good. Back to normal. All right. Sorry about that. Thank you for those kind words, Jeff. Because it means a lot, and it means a lot just overall of the fact that we've been doing this for so long, and it's not lost on me that it's not just us, because if it was just us, then what's the point? What's the point?
Friends hanging out,
3 or 4 people just coming up. It's all of you guys that have continued to come back, and yes, I'm not just talking about you two, because you two have been with us for the long haul. But it's everyone that has listened, watched. I mean, you're talking, we were, like you said, Jeff, we started audio only. I don't even know if we were actually live the first bit of the show. Mixler may have come later. And I know back in the day, podcasts weren't generally live. I don't think it wasn't really a thing that people did just as a default. But like we did that. We had obviously channel 1138, which was 24/7 Star Wars radio as it was. And we just would have a whole network of shows that would come on, and that was a lot of fun, and got us accustomed to this, and then making the jump to YouTube. And I don't think you've actually been on, Jeff, since we made the jump to YouTube. So finally, good to have you finally on video. It's just been a crazy wild ride, and we cannot thank you guys enough. And being that 3/4 of the regular hosts of the show are indisposed at the moment, it would feel inappropriate to do like a full celebration tonight. So we will save that for later. We have some plans. We're working on some stuff. We will do a proper 15th anniversary celebration at a later date. So be on the lookout for that. Preferably in a time when there's a slow news week. Because
you're going to rent out an IHOP again, Ben?
I mean, don't tempt us. Don't tempt us. It could happen. Don't tempt fate. So yeah, be on the lookout for that. And thanks so much, everyone, for continuing to support us, because it genuinely means the world to us. Really does. Okay. How do I segue out of that? How do I segue out of a touching moment?
15 more years. 15
Oh yeah.
more years.
So let's move on. Let's get through a couple pieces of news, because there was some interesting stuff happened. First of all, we had the news that Hondo Ohnaka is coming back, maybe, supposedly. So Jim Cummings was talking to Comic Book Movie recently, and he let it slip that he has been working on some stuff for Hondo, and he said, quote, "I did the facial recognition for Hondo Ohnaka for an upcoming project, so stay tuned for that." I bring this up mainly to kind of clarify what I think is going on here, and based on some other stuff that's been happening. Obviously, Hondo is back in the Star Wars Outlaws DLC that is coming up pretty soon. I don't think this is that, because I feel like he would have already done that, but it could be more than that. Who knows? There's also possibility, I think more possibility, that he could be talking about motion capture, maybe. I don't know whether they do that for perhaps Galaxy's Edge, because we know that Smuggler's Run, which he has a starring role in, is going to get some upgrades pretty soon, and is going to have Mandalorian and Grogu editions happening next year, and they are undoubtedly already working hard at that. So he may be involved with voicing that character, or doing, I don't know, would they do motion capture for, like, would he go through the motions and they would transmit that into some animated stuff for the ride, or animatronic stuff for the ride? I don't know. But either way, we've been sorely lacking in Hondo Ohnaka content for a very long time, so I'm very happy to see this.
What are the odds Hondo is going to be in Tales of the Underworld?
Ooh, I hadn't thought about that, but it feels like a natural fit, does it not?
I mean, at the very least, have like a cameo role. Sorry to interrupt, Joel, but like I know we know, like the characters who are involved in it, but there's always room for more characters, and that's what the Tales series have done very well. Is just expanding the broader scope past what you're used to seeing in Star Wars.
Yeah, although I feel like they would have advertised Hondo being in it if my brain right now. If he were in it, I don't know. It's sort of like the Boba Fett thing. It's like I feel like he would have been advertised in it if they were in it. The motion capture thing though is what kind of is throwing me off, because like I know they do a little mocap stuff for the animation stuff. I mean, they did it for the Clone Wars, but that was more body movement. I don't think they did it for faces. So that to me is either okay, the video game, which he could just be mentioning that's kind of the boring but maybe obvious choice. Smuggler Run, of course, those animatronics, they do use a little bit of facial stuff. I've been there. I mean, if we want to throw out a curveball, you talking about Mandalorian Grogu. I mean, if Han's gonna show up in any show, it's that one. Quite frankly. So I mean, in movie, then it's probably that one or the Filoni or Ahsoka. But I think they're just starting Ahsoka right now, so they're probably not even into that stuff right at this moment. So I think it's Outlaws, but it could be Smuggler's Run
or it could be the sequel to Star Wars Jedi Survivor.
Oh, I mean, maybe. Yeah.
We know that's a trilogy that Respawn.
I can see that.
Like, that they've always surprised me every iteration of like, okay, who's going to show up in this entry, right?
Mm-hmm.
That'd be cool.
I mean, hey, that's possible. They use mocap for the Jedi games, and he's around. So yeah, I could see that as a totally.
What if it's? Sorry, I just want to say this real quick, Ben. I know you'll love this. What if they just put him in Fortnite?
Give us the frickin' Hondo Naka skin. Come on, what are you doing? Epic?
Take my money, Epic. Take my money.
Something I was going to say off the top is, this right here, the three of us. This is what game night is. Okay, if you come to game night in Discord, this is what it is. Three of us, maybe a couple of people, and we're just not as formal. We're just talking and about other stuff other than Star Wars, and we're playing Fortnite, and we're getting our asses handed to us.
We're all dressed as Star Wars characters with Star Wars skins.
I play as Chewbacca or a clone trooper. Jeff has this really cool Sith trooper thing. Who do you play as, Joel? Normally speaking,
Ahsoka normally until
you have a good Ahsoka. I don't have the Ahsoka skin.
Or Spider-Man. I'm playing Spider-Man.
Yeah. We like to mix it up sometimes. Spider-Man with Chewbacca, and it just weird stuff happens.
I know privately we've been talking about that rumored battle pass for the May the 4th season, starting May 2nd with Fortnite. We talked about it a little bit at the top of this podcast, but I honestly, they could just put like a little tiny Star Wars customization, and they got me. They got me hooked, Ben. The amount of Star Wars stuff in that. The collabs they've done in the past, it's honestly incredible. I'm so that, I mean, if I were to have a hype factor, the thing I'm most excited about, it would be that Fortnite battle pass, just because if it's all Star Wars, or there's a lot of Star Wars content in there. I mean, I still want that Mandalorian skin that I can't get because it was in an old battle pass, and they still haven't re-released it into the shop in Fortnite. But I digress.
Yeah, I mean, come on. I know it may sound weird with all the stuff happening, but I kind of agree with you. I mean, Fortnite, it gets real in there. And, it basically, when we have those seasons with Star Wars included, basically it becomes a Star Wars game. Like you have force powers, and there's lightsabers, and you're hanging out with, and fighting or befriending certain Star Wars characters. And then next thing you know, there's Sabrina Carpenter with a shotgun, and she's killing you. It really is a wild game. So
Godzilla is coming after you.
Yeah, Godzilla 2, or Snoop Dogg, or any people, just random people.
Kylo Ren just does the Fortnite dance moves.
Naturally.
Here's a good suggestion. What if Jim Cummings did facial capture just to be on Rebels Pod of Rebellion? Yes.
Need to get him on that show. Seriously, great show. Okay. So switching gears a little bit. So we got some more stuff from Tony Gilroy. He's been out talking a lot about Andor Season 2. Very uncensored, possibly the most uncensored Star Wars creator we have on the circuit right now. Pretty crazy stuff he comes with. But this was pretty tame, but still very eye-opening in regards to how they see us as a fandom and how I think they are very much, I think they know more than they should, because a lot of what we say is hogwash. Okay. They really should not be listening to us. But this was pretty interesting. So he was talking specifically about the fact that it kind of praising the Mandalorian, because there is these certain people, you know who you are, that, will, dislike the Mandalorian or think Andor is better than the Mandalorian, which completely normal opinion. I might even agree with you, but some people take it a little too far. And he says the success of Mandalorian gave us the platform to jump off. Their success is what would fuel the whole thing. I mean, no Baby Yoda, no Andor. Online, people try to drive a wedge all the time between us and Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni. It's horrible what people say. It's terrible. And the truth is, we don't have a show without them. They gave us the muscle to go. So, I mean, obviously there is the Lucasfilm Civil War. Kathleen Kennedy's going to get fired for the 15th time this week. That whole stuff. And then there also is like these weird fan cliques that are like, your show's better than my show. Well, Tony Gilroy said this, and this proves that he hates the Mandalorian and he hates Jon Favreau. Blah, blah. And it's tiring. And I'm glad to see Tony Gilroy being like, yeah, we're cool. We're fine. Actually, I like the Mandalorian and the Mandalorian. So like anybody that's out there being like, oh, the Mandalorian sucks and everything should be Andor. Like he said, no Baby Yoda, no Andor.
I mean, that kind of goes back to the topic of I know we'll talk about this later about what are the strongest seasons of Star Wars television. I mean, if you want to think about it from a creative standpoint or a business standpoint, especially from a business standpoint, yeah, Tony Gilroy is 100% right. You don't have Andor without The Mandalorian. I mean, even just from a business perspective, just simply when it comes to Disney Plus, The Mandalorian it literally launched with the platform. That, and I think there was The World According to Jeff Goldblum, if you remember that show, maybe a couple of other little things. Right? I remember that Jeff Goldblum show. But anyways, The Mandalorian, that was the prime ticket. I would argue is still the prime ticket of Disney Plus. And, from a business perspective, if you remember, I think this was the end of 2020 when Disney Plus had their big presentation, where they had a couple of projects. We still haven't had like a Droid Story or Orlando and like a bunch of others like Acolyte, Andor, etc. A bunch of like Disney Plus shows. That wouldn't have happened if Mando wasn't such a resounding success. And primarily, because I know as fans, we get all into the nitty gritty of it. But when it comes to the majority of consumers, which are what some would call casuals, Baby Yoda was it. And that's why Tony Gilroy is 100% correct. Without Baby Yoda, you don't have Andor. I mean, look at all the merchandise. Everybody spending their money on Baby Yoda. Everybody loving it. All the memes online. I've seen the memes. They're good memes. They're hilarious. And that kind of adds to the point of just like, yeah, I think Mandalorian was way more successful than Lucasfilm thought it was going to be. And it's why, we have been almost drowning in good Star Wars content like Andor.
Oh yeah, you're right. I mean, I'm rewatching Mandalorian season 1 and 2 with my dad. I think it's hard. We can talk about this later, of course. I think it's easy to forget just how much Mandalorian took the zeitgeist. I remember people who did barely talk about Star Wars talking about the Mandalorian when it was coming out. It was especially when around season 2, which I think was like even bigger than season 1, quite frankly. It was nuts. Baby Yoda to this day, I think, took the zeitgeist, and I think in a way, like, I don't, I love all the Star Wars shows to some extent, but I do think it's, if you want to be as objective as one could possibly be, Mandalorian is the one that took the zeitgeist in a way I don't think the others necessarily have in the long term. Maybe Andor's going to be the other one that does it. We can do that later. But you're right. I mean, I still see Baby Yoda stuff to this day, and I think even the term Mandalorian now has become mainstreamed enough where it's like, if you show someone that armor, I think they'll either say Boba Fett or Mandalorian. Like they're gonna say one of those two things, and I think that word Mandalorian has become, kind of like Sith in the prequels. Like now everyone knows what a Sith is at this point, even if they don't really know.
I mean, let's face it. Like look, we all love Mandalorian. We all love Andor, but like ultimately, you go to the supermarket and you're not going to see somebody walking around with a Cassian Andor t-shirt. Probably you might, but probably not.
I will if you're there, Ben.
Yeah, of course. But like, if you go there, there is a strong chance you will see something Baby Yoda, someone wearing a Baby Yoda shirt or something with Baby Yoda on it. Like it's everywhere. That character is everywhere, Din Djarin along with him. And I think the impact is still there, even all these years later. Like I think it's diminished a little bit, but it's still strong. And that is a cash cow. That is absolutely driving the dollars and helping fund other series. If The Mandalorian is not your bag, then that's fine. But I think it is the reason we've gotten other shows like Andor, like Tony Gilroy says, like that show paved the way for everything. And I think if Mandalorian had flopped and it wasn't the success that it is, I think we would have been looking at a completely different set of shows, maybe not as nearly as many shows. Mandalorian was very popular even into his third season, and they've still cut back the shows. They still, they still haven't gone as hard as they could have. So I think it's you have to give Mandalorian where it's credit where it's due and paving the way and really launching everything. Because ultimately, it is the flagship show still. Maybe another show will come along and things, but I don't think any other show has reached that height just yet.
Oh yeah, I think I've always heard that they never thought Mandalorian was going to be doing this well, at least in those early years of Disney Plus, and they were taken by surprise. Hence why the Baby Yoda stuff wasn't around as hard until like season 2.
But when the merch came in, like it took a while, but when it came in, it was like a tsunami of Baby Yoda merch.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, okay. So now that we're on this topic, we may as well crack it wide open and get on to the actual discussion topic of the evening. And so, Joel, do you want to read the first question we got from a certain someone in the Ask SWU section?
Yeah, it's by this guy called Joel Davis. He looks like a loser. Okay, I said, what do you guys think has been the strongest seasons of Star Wars streaming so far? To be fair, I put when I say this, I actually meant live action streaming, so I probably should have been a little bit more specific. Should I ask this question?
Now that you're here, you can actually be more specific if you'd like.
Yeah, so I meant live action Star Wars streaming, so I didn't include the animated stuff. Otherwise, this list would be different. So I just counted I don't know why I don't consider the animation stuff part of the streaming. I guess it's just my brain sees it as just the animation stuff. It's a category of its own. So this was my order for the live action Star Wars streaming shows that began with The Mandalorian back in 2019. Okay, there we go. So in order: Andor Season 1, Mandalorian Season 2, Skeleton Crew, Mandalorian Season 1. Did I say Season 1 twice?
No. I think
you said
maybe
Andor Season 1, then Mando.
Okay, thank you. So yeah, that is my order of the top 4, what I think are the strongest seasons of Star Wars television. I thought they were the strongest because I felt that they were the ones that both knew what they wanted to be and they executed it pretty brilliantly.
So I'm curious, Joel, why? I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just curious why Skeleton Crew's on that list.
I thought Skeleton Crew was pretty strong a season, honestly. I thought it knew what it wanted. It wanted to be a pirate show, kind of like Treasure Planet. A little bit of Treasure Planet, a little pirates, a little bit of that 80s vibe. And it just executed very well. It kind of like bam, 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 thank you, ma'am. It knew what it wanted. It knew what it wanted to do, and it did it. Bam. And it's like I did not think there was like a I watched it, like I didn't think to myself, oh, I would have rearranged this. I would have streamlined these parts. Like my only real critique could have been maybe this could have been a movie. But even my whole this could have been a movie critique, which I have for actually quite a bit of the other streaming shows. Yeah, even then it was like, oh, this is so good. This is like, for once, it doesn't bother me in a way some of the others kind of will do if I think too negatively about these things. I just thought Skeleton Crew was like pretty spectacular. So that's why I think it's one of the strongest seasons of TV of streaming overall in terms of like a first season. But just again, it knew what it wanted and it did it, and I think it executed perfectly. That, in my opinion, in my humblest opinion, of course.
No, I think I might agree with you. And for the record, if anyone wants to like chime in on this, feel free to leave a super chat or something like that, or just write on Discord, and we'll maybe we'll continue this discussion in future weeks if we get a chance. I think my list is going to look very similar to yours, Joel, being that I was thinking the other day, I'm just like, because I'll be listening to my music, I'll listen to my Star Wars soundtracks, and Skeleton Crew will come up in there, and I'm like, wow, that was a good show. That was a really good show. And I'm fully in Andor mode now. I'm thinking all about Andor. I did my Andor season 1 rewatch. I'm getting ready for season 2. It's easy to kind of getting caught up in that, but then realizing, oh, hey, Skeleton Crew was very good. Very good. I think strongest. Like, I think there's something to be said for like having momentum and feeling good and having some really strong episodes. And then there's also like, at the end of the day, what does the season look like overall? Like, or what does the series look like overall? God forbid Skeleton Crew ends up being a 1-season series. But it'll be a pretty strong series if that's the case. Like, I will always give the edge to Rebels in regards to animated shows, or just any show in general, over Clone Wars. Clone Wars is obviously my nostalgic favorite and is probably one of my favorite TV shows of all time. But Rebels does a very good job of having a set beginning, middle, and end. 4 seasons, boom, done. It's over. It tells a story. It gets it done. And it ends on a satisfying note versus Clone Wars, which, let's face it, is kind of all over the place sometimes. And, if it had been more concise, it wouldn't have taken, say, the Clone Wars to say that. It would have just, ended on its own accord and wrapped up its storylines. But it took 3 or 4 seasons to sometimes wrap up certain storylines. So, it was a big mess. I still think it's maybe the better show, but from a storytelling perspective, it lacks focus. I think Skeleton Crew has that focus. Mandalorian season 1 and season 2, they have that focus. I'm not a hater of season 3, but it does begin to kind of go off the rails at that point.
This guy hates Book of Boba Fett.
I'll even go to bat for Book of Boba Fett. Okay, I think it has some strong points. I think there's some weird choices when it comes to the Mandalorian, but I think if you look past that, it has some strong moments. Obi-Wan is a show that I have mixed feelings about, but I still kind of look back on it with fondness and be like, okay, show is great. And a show that what I will disagree with you on, Joel, is Ahsoka. I think Ahsoka is probably my top choice. I think it's a very strong. It's my favorite of the shows. I think it's up there in regard to that. I think it might be edged out by Skeleton Crew and maybe Mandalorian season 2 as like in strength of the entire season. I'll be the first to admit the Ahsoka finale is not the best. It's a little clunky, but overall I think it sticks to landing. I think that's what you expect. But I've talked enough here. Jeff, do you have any thoughts on this?
Maybe one thought, maybe a few thoughts. If I were to do a top 4 like y'all did, I'm going to start at number 4, and this is something that I'm surprised hasn't been brought up, and that is The Acolyte season 1. I think
not on my list. I'm sorry.
No, there's a lot of shows. I get it. A lot of seasons.
All love to Acolytes. Not on my list.
Somebody had to mention the Acolyte today, but like, I mean, watching the show, it's like this is the essence of the prequel trilogy from a narrative perspective and from a visual perspective, and you're going into cultures in the galaxy and storytelling in a way that we never have had in Star Wars before. And man, my pipe dream would be if they just like announced a season 2 during Celebration Japan. That'd be so cool. I mean, I know we have the Art of Acolyte book coming, but so anyways, number 4 is the Acolytes season 1. Number 3 would likely be the Mandalorian season 1, where like just again, like I said a few minutes ago, like just how it launched Disney Plus and how it showed the father-son relationship of Mando and Grogu. And I'm sure we've all talked ad nauseum about it for more than 5 years because it's legendary. Of seeing that, and we're going to see that in movie form in hopefully a year from now. So yeah, Mando season 1's on my list. Number 2, and I was not expecting to do this, but it's of this vinyl of Mandalorian season 2. If you can kind of see it with my mediocre lighting. In the back of it, you'll see Ahsoka with the lightsabers.
I have that exact thing. It's amazing.
Cool.
So I literally just bought it at the store earlier, or like last week, and I'm like, this is nice. Add it to my collection. I mean, just the way it progresses what Mando season 1 did, and made it even better, more expansive, and we're meeting characters we knew from the Clone Wars. Like when Bo-Katan showed up, I squealed. When Boba Fett showed up, I went nuts. Boba Fett's my guy. I think I'm wearing Boba Fett pants right now. Like, that's how much I love Boba Fett, right? And so that, and then you have that incredible finale, the way they built up, like the finale of season 2, and then the Luke scenes. I mean, some of the reactions I've seen on YouTube of that the Luke sequence was at the end of season 2 was just incredible. And it has a high that I just don't know, any subsequent season will have. Maybe the movie will have, in the theaters, you never know. But yeah, so that's my number 2 and number 1. And if you know me, it's not a surprise, but if you don't, this may be a surprise because I think it's the most underrated gem of Star Wars and Disney Plus, and that is Obi-Wan Kenobi. Now, I remember it was a big privilege in my life to be able to go to Star Wars Celebration Anaheim in 2022, but also to watch the first 2 episodes of Obi-Wan Kenobi with you guys, with the Star Wars Underworld and CultureSlate crew. Like, that was such a special moment. But even with, if that never happened, I would still put Obi-Wan Kenobi as number 1 because it's something, I remember Ewan McGregor was talking about it for years and years. Oh, we're going to have an Obi-Wan Kenobi. Kenobi, a Star Wars story. It's going to happen. And just all this kind of, waiting on pins and needles. Okay, will this happen? Won't this happen? Who knows? And then boom, it happened. And, seeing the, relationship between Obi-Wan and Leia form, seeing Jimmy Smits back as Bail Organa. I will never forget everybody's reaction in the room when we saw Alderaan. We're all like, whoa, like, it was so cool, man. Oh man. So yeah, Obi-Wan Kenobi has a special place in my heart. And primarily I gotta give a big shout out to John Williams, who was recently shown in a wheelchair at a Gustavo Dudamel concert, I believe, with the LA Philharmonic Orchestra.
Right.
But just what he did, he and William Ross did with the main theme of Obi-Wan Kenobi, of course. I already forgot. What's the Loki composer? Natalie Holt, I believe.
Natalie Holt. It was on the tip of my tongue.
Yeah, I had Natalie, but I forgot the last name for a second there. Natalie Holt, and she finished the score, obviously. I just want to give special kudos to that because it's always nice seeing John Williams come back. We all thought Rise of Skywalker would be his last Star Wars soundtrack, but it was not. So sorry I went on a tangent there, but that's my top 4.
No. I think it's all interesting how one judges what quote unquote is the strongest. The strongest will survive. Very Sith-like. At least for me, I always compartmentalize things in my brain where like strongest and favorite are not synonymous with each other. Like when I'm talking about my favorite series, I think probably either it's Kenobi or Ahsoka. It's either one of those two. I think it's Kenobi. I think I like Kenobi.
I don't see, Joel, to me, they're the same. I don't know. Like, maybe that's just how I think of fictional media myself. But, like, it's about how much do I enjoy it? How much is this fun? Am I entertained? And I,
And see-
go ahead, Ben.
No, you're fine. I'm often blinded by that simple fact of just like, what is your favorite, but also what is actually things. And because I like when it comes to like, what is the best Star Wars show? I would say Andor. I would say Andor is the pinnacle of Star Wars TV. What is your favorite Star Wars TV show? Well, it's Ahsoka. Those are two completely different things. What is your favorite Star Wars film? I don't know. I don't even know that answer to that question. What is the best Star Wars film?
Jedi for me.
I would probably say The Empire Strikes Back still. I still think it's the pinnacle of Star Wars films. It's not necessarily my favorite anymore, but it's what I think is things. And I think people get caught up in that. And I get caught up in it too. It's just like, like it can be different things. You can have thoughts and being, I think that was what I learned from the prequel era of just like understanding those movies and like seeing the criticisms and being like, okay, yeah, there is some wooden dialogue in there. There is some weird stuff in there. But guess what? I don't care. I still enjoy the movies. They still make me feel good when I watch them. So they're fine. And that's fine. Accepting something for what it is, as opposed to, as you do on the internet, try to defend every single thing about a thing, and you go down that rabbit hole is never good.
Because that was why it's so interesting about Andor. Like, it's hard for me as an Obi-Wan fan, because when everybody thinks of, okay, what was the best Star Wars show of 2022? 9 out of 10 people or most people would say Andor. And that's the gist I've seen in Star Wars fandom. And it does hurt a little bit because, Obi-Wan Kenobi, that was what I was looking for. Kind of like how in 2019, a lot of folks were more liking Mando season 1 generally than Rise of Skywalker. I'm the other way around because I'm a sequel trilogy diehard forever. Right. So I think, it's at the end of the day, it's entertainment. We're just, we're done with our work for the day. Let's enjoy ourselves, eat some popcorn, sit back and relax. At the end of the day, that's what it's all about. And it's just, okay, well, let's make me feel good. Get the serotonin boost. Right.
Yeah. And don't yuck someone's yum. I think that's a saying that I have taken to heart, and I really wish more people would do that, because there's a lot of, let's just say, Andor fans. I love you. I am one of you, but some of y'all gotta stick up your butt, okay? A little bit. You're a little snobby about Andor. Because a lot of Andor fans are like, this is the best Star Wars and all of the Star Wars is trash. And I'm just like, I'm sorry, you don't have to do that. You could just say Andor is good, is the best, which I agree with, as opposed to poo-pooing shows like Mando, like Ahsoka, like Obi-Wan Kenobi. If they're not your bag, that's fine, but don't things, because, and I think, I forget who said it recently, but I think it's a great way to kind of think is like everything is someone's favorite. Every Star Wars thing is someone's favorite. Every Star Wars show, every Star Wars movie is someone's favorite. It's best just to not go that way, because it's not constructive at all.
And to be fair, we have this a lot with, like, we have the shipping wars with, who's the best relationship, or who's the best waifu in a video game, or whatever. or I guess you have this with Star Wars, in the case of Star Wars, like, oh, the original trilogy is better than the prequels, or no, the prequels and then the sequels. We've heard all those arguments for years. But so, I mean, I think it just means at the end of the day, we're all passionate. We're all hyped up about Star Wars. That's really what that means in the end. We just love it.
Oh yeah, and I think everyone got different tastes, and I think all tastes are valid. Yeah, I mean that's all I got. Unless we want to go deeper into like what we.
Yeah, no, I mean I'm trying to think of other angles to come at this other than I think that's great. I think if I could round out my list, I think Andor at the top, followed closely by Mandalorian season 2 and Skeleton Crew, and then maybe Ahsoka and Mandalorian season 1 can fight for the bottom.
And I should clarify,
in regards to strength wise, not how I like them, just strength.
I should clarify, I do love Andor. I do love season 1. I love Nicholas Bertel's music. It is god tier.
Don't be a hater, Jeff. Don't be hating on Andor.
Apparently, I'm hitting on Skeleton Crew by Joel Scott. No, I'm kidding.
Nah.
I'm
man,
joking. There's people on the internet that will like, if you're not praising something, you're hating on it. It's weird.
The guest Star Wars host hates this thing. Like, no, I love every Star Wars thing. Like, I'm just like, give me more Star Wars, please. Like, I got Porgs and vinyls, and I got a Boba Fett figure in there. You see my Kylo Ren. I got Star Wars stuff all over my apartment. Right? So
I mean, hey, I think we're all willing to have arguments and listen. If we got a good debate, like. One reason I put Kenobi on a bit of a lower tier than Jeff is I love Kenobi. I mean, Kenobi I think might be my favorite series, but like I don't think it's the strongest because I still think I think there's just some camera work stuff in the background. But if someone's got like an essay say, hey, this is why actually is brilliant. I'm always willing to listen to it if they're making a good argument because that's the whole point. Give them a good argument, and as long as it's not like if it's well presented, then hey, yeah, I'm always open to listen. If someone wants to write a 3-hour video essay on why Rise of Skywalker is the best Star Wars movie, I mean, hey, I think we could always use some positivity in the world like that. Am I right?
I mean, I've said it, not to go too deep into this tangent, but like, I've talked about it. I don't know. I've written about it. I don't know if I actually talked about it on the pod, but like the Rise of Skywalker fans, which there are more than you think there are, have made me appreciate that movie more so than ever before, and more so than I expected.
Rise of Skywalker fans, send all your email to Dominic Jones. Dominic Jones.
Yep, exactly. You know where to go.
I will never forget Dom, and he was just like, "Why is Palpatine back?" I remember him going on this rant back in 2019, man.
Well, I remember like being in a theater, and Dom and Chris are like in the middle of the theater yelling at each other about something spoilery to do with Rise of Skywalker, and everyone's like, will you shut up? Like, stop, don't do this. Like, not here, save it for the podcast. No, bad.
Get the squirt spray. Squirt.
Because it was interesting because it was almost like emotion is a powerful thing. Everybody knows that as a human being, and it's like after The Last Jedi, I remember most of us were just like, what just happened? What did we just see? Like, it was shocking in that way, right? And I think it's just, again, I think it's kind of the point. We're just hyped up, man. We're passionate. We care so much about this franchise. It's going to be the same when we watch Mandalorian and Grogu next year, or
and
whenever
that's
Disney.
The thing,
yeah.
And that's the thing that connects us all. That ultimately we all share in common is we care about Star Wars. I think even the weirdos on YouTube, which we are among, we're on YouTube too, but the extra weirdos that are like, everything sucks, Star Wars sucks, blah, blah, blah. I think in a weird way, they also care about it, but they're obviously doing it in a very toxic, very
Sith way,
not constructive way, and they've succumbed to the dark side, and they don't know. They've forgotten what they care about specifically with Star Wars, and that sucks. I think that's something we need to remember, that because we let our petty differences and our petty little, I like this Star Wars show, you like this Star Wars show, blah, 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 that Star Wars show sucks. Like, it doesn't freaking matter, guys. We all like Star Wars. That's why we're here.
Agreed. Just one more point, and then we can move on if you want. To make it a little bit more of a debate between me and Ben for just a hot second.
Sorry. Okay, all right. Put him up. Let's go. Let's go.
I'm just kidding. Yeah, take it. I put Mandalorian over Ahsoka. I think Ahsoka is actually the next one on the list. It's number 5. Only because I'm kind of with Dom in that the 2-part finale kind of hurts it, whereas Mandalorian has just a better 2-part finale. I should know, I just rewatched it like a couple days ago, and it's like, oh, this 2-part finale was actually really good, really satisfying. I mean, I always do kind of consider season 1 and 2 Mandalorian to just be one long super season in hindsight, so I guess you can say really it's more of a mid-season finale. But I think if you want to judge both Ahsoka and Mandalorian by a mid-season finale, I think that Mandalorian just ends stronger. That's why I put it above Ahsoka season 1.
Yeah, no, I think that's fair. I think a finale has a lot to do with, at least for me, like it has a lot to do with like how I remember show, how it resonates with me. Because I think, if it doesn't stick to landing, you're like, oh, I enjoyed that episode. That's it, but it really didn't do it with that last episode, and it kind of killed the hype. And I've had plenty of shows that, I've had series that, that last season really didn't do very well, and it killed my whole hype for the whole series. So
thankfully, it's still got another season, so at least it can redeem it. Well, come back.
It has a chance to either make or break the whole series. Let's just put it that way. Let's hope the latter. Okay. Let's do a couple more questions. You guys got a little bit of time. You got anywhere to go?
I can go.
I can do this all day, as Captain America would say.
Yeah. Well, I can't. Okay, that's the thing. I got places to go and people to see, but I got a little bit more time. So, let's check in with Dr. Hugh. Hugh asks, we all have our favorite fighters and starships, but what would you rather not fly or be in command of? The U-55 load lifter, for instance, would be my death wish. Far more than the GR-75 transport. The regular TIE fighter would also get my veto, as it's easily overshadowed by other TIEs, such as the TIE bomber and even the Special Forces TIE. My contentious choice, yes, very contentious choice, would be the B-Wing, as its asymmetry and gyroscopic nature would be a technical nightmare for me. Having said that, I know that a certain Star Wars guy would pull off flying the craft like a master, whereas I'm just walking skilly. You talking about me? Lastly, my deep cut Legends choice would be the Pinook fighter from X-Wing Alliance. I'm going to look that up. With shielding weapons in the hull for a weaker than a 8-wing and speed slower than the X-Wing and Headhunter combined, the Pinook makes even the most awkwardly put together ugly look desirable. So thanks so much for the question, Hugh. And I do really like B-Wings are my favorite starfighter, I think, full stop. But I do that's my favorite starfighter to look at on screen. I'm not saying I could pilot the damn thing. In fact, I would probably be pretty sore. I'd probably be pretty bad at flying any of these things. But yes, I agree with you that it looks like a technical nightmare. And just the general idea of being in this little small metal capsule in the middle of space, flying around things. TIE fighters are especially scary because there's no shields or anything for the most part. If I'm going to do a TIE fighter, give me a TIE defender, give me some shields and some proper stuff that I can actually be protected, because that's scary. But Joel, do you have anything on this?
I'm not much of a ship person. Funny enough, this is my friend of mine would love this question. I don't think I would ever want to pilot a TIE fighter. Those things are cheap and they probably would explode. I don't want to be one of those.
Statistically, yes, you're correct.
I'd rather be the Millennium Falcon, which is garbage that gets the job done.
Yeah, I think something that's big enough to have a co-pilot, or just something that I could sleep in. I am somewhat claustrophobic, so the idea of being locked into a cockpit, just even in a fighter jet in real life, that does not sit well with me. So I do. I mean, the Falcon is a classic, but I'll take any of them. The Ghost, the Twilight, any of them.
I would say, so the Millennium Falcon is aesthetically pleasing. Everybody loves it. It's in, the original trilogy and sequel trilogy, and all the novels and comics. I would say from a technical perspective, I would not want to fly that thing in a million years. Because here's the thing. I remember as a kid being horrified by that scene where, where the Millennium Falcon's going through the Death Star trench run at the end of the movie, and the antenna gets broken off. And Lando says, that was too close. When that happened, I remember that scaring me as a kid. And I'm just yeah, imagine trying to pilot that thing. You saw that again in The Force Awakens, where you're trying to maneuver this thing around the innards of a Star Destroyer on Jakku. And, no wonder Finn does not want to go back to Jakku for that and other reasons. But just from a technical perspective, that is just a nightmare. Don't get me wrong. Love how the ship looks. Obviously, love seeing it in the movies, obviously. But I would say that, and then the other one, this is because of my experience in the EA Star Wars Battlefront 2 video game, is the TIE Interceptor, because those bad boys do not have much health, man. It is so easy. Like, yes, they're fast. That's where it counters the low health. But, man, you get shot down quickly if you're not fast enough or you're not turboing through the skies. Like, man, the TIE Interceptor, like, that's, you think the TIE Fighter is weak, Joel. Like, look at the TIE Interceptor, man.
Yeah, I have to think about like what if I'm playing Battlefront 2, which I do occasionally play. What am I gonna fly as? And like TIE Interceptor or any of the Interceptor classes in that game specifically are Death Wish. Like they're fast and they have good firepower, but they take like 2 hits and you're dead. Like it's ridiculous. So not that. Like I usually just go with the standard fighter. They're usually fast enough. Like an X-Wing is actually like a really good fighter in that game. I was like, it's got the maneuverability, it's got the speed, it's got the firepower, and also it can take a hit and keep on ticking. So I agree with you, Jeff, about the Millennium Falcon. Like the Falcon's like magnificent ship, but you gotta go in, you gotta bang this wall and do this and get everything and hold things and get it, and maybe it'll start up and go, and just like, yeah, that's a nightmare. God, I don't get it. Han can have it. Ray, I hope Ray makes some improvements. Please, Ray, do something with that ship because it needs it.
Yes.
So I guess that's it on that question. We will let's do one. Let's do at least one more. Actually, JXT has an interesting question I wanted to pose to you guys. He says, there was those cutscenes from Saw Gerrera from Rogue One that were in the trailer for Rogue One back in the day. Do you think those scenes could make it into Andor Season 2? And so if you don't remember, just go back and watch the Rogue One trailers because there's several of them and there's a lot of footage in that. And I do mean a lot of footage. I would dare say more than half of the footage in the Rogue One trailer, especially the early ones, did not make it into the movie. And I'm talking about like that last iconic shot of them like charging the ACTs on the beach. Not in the movie. Like, I think there's an opening Saw line of him saying something very iconic. And it's just not in the movie. Now that we've seen Season 2, or at least maybe some of you in the future have Season 2, we've only seen the trailers. Mm-hmm. There is obviously some footage of Saw Gerrera on Jeddah looking very Rogue One-esque, and it should be we have reason to believe that there's going to be some, not some crossover, but some leading up to Rogue One. And I don't know, would they reuse some stuff? Is there footage in there from the original version of Rogue One that could be used in Season 2? I don't know. Obviously, Tony Gilroy was involved with that, was involved with the restructuring of that movie from what it was, whatever Gareth Edwards put in and whatever ended up being in the theater. So I'm very curious about that. I don't know. You guys have any thoughts on that?
I do think they're going to reuse some of the assets. I mean, we see the black X-Wings already. So we know they exist, and those were the black X-Wings that were going to appear in the Battle of Jeddah, during Rogue One, because you see in the background there's some black X-Wings that have just crash landed there, and partisans are doing their thing. I don't necessarily think they're going to reuse old footage and cut it into the Andor footage so much, or like have Saw say lines that you're going to say in Rogue One and put them in Andor. So I think the answer is a hard no on actually just inserting footage from 2015, 16, and putting it into the Andor. But it does look like they want to at least bring back those old ideas and maybe just reuse them now in new ways. But I don't think it's deleted footage inserted into newer footage.
I know a lot of people didn't like this aspect of The Rise of Skywalker, but I actually loved it, where they reused Carrie Fisher's footage, especially from Force Awakens. That was something that I was kind of hoping they would. I actually want that sort of thing in Andor season 2. Just maybe not full blown scenes with it, but at the very least, like you're alluding to, Joel, the visual effects where it looks almost visually identical. Like we're using the assets, I believe is what you said, where to have that seamless transition, because it's sort of like, I think Diego Luna said this in an interview, that it's like the transition from Rogue One to A New Hope, that he wants Andor season 2 to transition seamlessly into Rogue One, like that scene where you see Andor, his intro scene in Rogue One. So, I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if they reuse assets in some way, shape, or form to, at the very least, have consistent continuity. It's like, oh, okay, you don't see any wrinkles because they shot this 10 years after, they shot Rogue One or whatever. So I would be very fascinated to see how they would do that transition in general. As far as the trailer content, I mean, that's something that'd be very interesting. It depends on, what Lucasfilm has in their archives and, what Tony Gilroy, what his creative vision is. And that can go either way, but I think it'd be very fascinating. I mean, that's the disappointing aspect of these Disney Plus shows, if you want to call it that, is that we don't have like an extended cut or deleted scenes like we do for most of the movies, right? So it could be a way.
Deleted scenes for Rogue One, I don't think.
Is that because the deleted scenes would just be entirely different versions of the movie?
They deleted a whole movie.
I don't know if you remember some of the teasers for Rogue One, but there's a scene with Vader and Krennic going, the power which we are dealing with is
I was just thinking about that.
And he's not on the Death, and Vader and him are on the Death Star. They're not on Mustafar's castle. I mean, Vader's castle on Mustafar.
They're on the Death Star. There's a scene with at least Krennic and Vader, if not Tarkin 2, on the Death Star, where like Vader never shows up on the Death Star during Rogue One in the theatrical version. And then
Krennic's obviously forceful in that scene compared to
and I don't know, their dynamic is interesting, and obviously, and then I mentioned it, I think it was last week or the week before, like the whole idea of, oh, there's Saw Gerrera's partisans are on the beach in Scarif. What's going on there? Like, were they going to come to help out? I think probably Saw was always meant to die, but maybe some of his partisans showed up in Scarif to help. There's a lot of unanswered questions. I would pay good money to see the original cut of Rogue One. So I would pay so much money. I'd pay so much, like the original cut of Solo. Come on. Do it. Like, just put it on Disney Plus. Come on.
Colin Trevorrow's episode 9.
And speaking of, I mean, there's a comic book of that if you want to read it. Not official, it's fan made. By the way, I had to mention this. I forgot to mention this when we were talking about Tony Gilroy. Did you see the teaser where they have the line, every story has a beginning? It's like, taking Phantom Menace.
They knew what they were doing. I knew what they were doing.
Yeah, see, I thought like
ripping off the Phantom Menace.
I remember watching the reaction to that Rise of Skywalker teaser trailer, and I heard you could faintly, in my head canon, I swear to you, to this day, I still think that was Ben Hart down on the floor screaming by that Phantom Menace reference.
I mean, I very well could have been. I don't know. You have to ask the people that were with me that day. I was screaming about something. I remember Rise of Skywalker faking us out because they released that one TV spot where it's Rey and Kylo fighting on Kef Bir, and the Duel of the Fates is playing. And I'm just like, oh my God, it's happening. And the Duel of the Fates never showed up in the movie. I'm still angry about it.
For those who don't know, I'm a musician. I used to play clarinet. And so I remember writing essays and seminars on Star Wars music. And oh my goodness, like I wanted to hear Duel of the Fates so bad because, it was in The Phantom Menace. I remember when they reused it for Revenge of the Sith. And they just didn't use it in The Rise of Skywalker. They faked this out, the darn Disney marketing team, man.
Because there is that fan theory out there. I don't think it's confirmed, but somebody out there said, oh, well, that there is a piece of music from every previous Star Wars film in The Last Jedi, because there's that moment where they're walking up into the temple and you hear like Across the Stars maybe, and there's some other stuff throughout the movie. I don't know if it's ever been like John Williams is never confirmed or whatever else, but I like the idea. And so like that was going on, and you had like, oh, Rise of Skywalker, we're gonna get Duel of the Fates, and it's gonna be, you know, ring theory all over again. And alas.
So I recommend looking up Dr. Frank Lehman. He's a professor at Tufts University. He's a musicology professor, and I had him on one of my old music podcasts a few years ago, and we were just talking about like Star Wars music and the history of John Williams and what he's done for the franchise. And yeah, you're right, Ben. Like there's the way John Williams reuses musical themes or motifs, as we call it in the music scene. Like it's prevalent through every movie. Like John loves reusing his themes because they're in use to invoke a certain emotion or a certain character or a certain, you know, type of event that is happening. And so like, man, I still laugh at that TV spot to this day, all these years later.
I remember Force Awakens, everyone and their mother was going on about how the Snoke theme sounds exactly like the opera theme, and it was like Snoke's leg is confirmed.
Yeah. I just remember watching Force Awakens and get to that scene and be like, holy crap, is he actually a giant dude? Is he that big? Like for 5 seconds, I had that thought, and then
I think we all did, Ben.
Yeah, it was the
and
good
he was
old
so
days.
loud, he shook the whole movie theater with his voice. It was great.
Also, what they came up with realistic holograms, and they haven't come back to that. What the hell is that? They have realistic holograms, and they just drop that and then never come back to it.
Oh, it's
like,
because Star Wars fans were like, well, those holograms, that don't look like holograms. That's probably what happened.
Yeah, always something. So thanks, Jay Augustine 92. Thank you, Dr. Hugh, and thank you, Joel, for sending in those questions. It's been an absolute pleasure. Can you imagine 15 years of this? 15 years of this, man. It's actually, I know, technically not 15 years of this. We haven't been on YouTube for 15 years. We haven't been doing the podcast for 15 years, but just 15 years of this vibe has been happening. It's crazy, guys. It's just crazy.
Just wait till Star Wars turns 50 in 2 years. That's where it's going to get weird, Ben.
Oh, yeah. And also, happy birthday to Daisy Ridley.
Happy birthday.
I'm pretty, it kind of dawned on me today that the Star Wars Underworld is, give or take a few years, about 15 years older or younger than Daisy Ridley. She is like 15 years older than us, which is kind of weird. I think she's 33. I think we're almost. Fun fact: Daisy Ridley almost the exact same age as me. I'm
30, so
yeah. So and we're just best buds. No, actually, not actually, but there we go.
Yeah, Daisy Ridley on speed dial, right, Ben?
Yeah, no big deal. No big deal. Look, I'm not gonna keep this going. Okay, we've done enough. We were lucky to do a show this week. Okay, lucky to do it. After that, thank you, Joel and Jeff, for saving my butt at the begining.
Especially now because your screen is frozen, but you're talking.
Hey, we still hear you. We still hear you.
Oh, I am frozen again. I love technology. No big deal. Let's get out of here before something else bad happens, shall we?
Yes.
So with that, I will begin to wrap up this show for another week. It's supposed to be playing, but I think well, maybe. Oh, let's see.
I hear it.
It works. There we go. All right, it works. All right, we made it. We did it. It's official. We did another show. The odds were stacked against us, and we did it anyway. Screw you, whoever bad energy that was trying to destroy the show. We overcame you. The dark side will not prevail tonight. I don't even know what I'm saying anymore. I think I've lost it officially.
Story of my life.
Yep.
Thank you guys so much, sincerely, not just for tonight, but for 15 years of this amazing thing that we've all contributed to. We've all get to bask in its glory. And like I said, stay tuned for probably after Andor, to be honest. We'll try to get the band back together and do a proper celebration with some surprises along the way. We're already cooking some stuff, so it should be fun. But in the meantime, be sure to follow us at the SWU on your social medias, except that one. You know the one I'm talking about. But be sure to follow us on Blue Sky. Go skeet us. Is that how you do it? You skeet us? Go send us a skeet or a bluey or whatever you call it. And a lot of people have been really enthusiastic about that one photo of Stellan Skarsgård. That has gone fully. I think one of our first fully viral posts on Blue Sky is that picture. Everyone is quote tweeting it with their best jokes, and it's quite funny. It's always good. It's always good to get retweeted by Pablo Hidalgo. It's always a good day when that happens. So thanks,
Indeed.
Pablo. We know you're watching.
That's how you made it in the big time.
Yeah, exactly. So be sure to, of course, check out the Star Wars Underworld Network Discord. Did you tell them what we're doing on Discord this week?
I did. We are watching Rogue One, a Star Wars story, this Friday at 6 p.m. Pacific Time, 9 p.m. Eastern.
Hell yeah. So that'll be a lot of fun. And just a side note here, we actually, like, if you come on Discord, you will be able to watch the movie in Discord. You don't have to queue up or anything or whatever else. I'll be honest, Disney probably doesn't like that we do that, but I don't care. We're going to do it anyway. And it's going to be good. Talk to our lawyers. I don't know. But it's gonna be a lot of fun. That's genuinely it's never not fun to watch that movie, and I think now it's gonna be one of the last times we get to watch the movie before season 2. And one of the stories that we skipped this week, and we skipped last week too, was Diego Luna basically saying, "Hey, you should watch Rogue One right after you see Andor season 2." So
Transition.
Maybe we'll do Rogue One this week, and then in a few weeks we'll watch Rogue One again, and we'll watch it with fresh eyes, completely new perspective. You never know.
And then we
what's
should watch
gonna
Rogue 2, aka A New Hope.
Yeah.
Did you know there's a sequel to Rogue One? That's an old joke that everybody hates.
I love it.
Rogue One is the true final episode of Andor.
Yep. It's true. It's true. So I don't know what else to say here. I don't usually do this. Okay. So forgive me if I fumble this, but I did the socials. I did the Discord. I think all there's left to say is thanks for watching. I missed something. Joel, thanks so much for hosting with me tonight. You want to tell the people where they can find you online and what you're doing?
Yes, you can find me at JID20234 on Blue Sky. Again, JID20234 on Blue Sky. I am the co-host of the Ion Cannon podcast, Mondays at 5:30 p.m. Pacific Time, 8:30 p.m. Eastern. Next week, we will be talking about The Chosen One, Anakin Skywalker himself, but we're also mostly going to be focusing on what the heck The Chosen One even means. I also might be making a special guest appearance, not this week, because that already happened. Next week on Tractor Beam, talk about Kylo Ren and Jedi Knights comics, so be on the lookout for that. And I'm mostly on the Star Wars Underworld Discord as well, where we're hosting Rogue One, and you can talk to me, ask me questions, and get my opinions on all sorts of things.
Yeah, of course. And of course, Ion Cannon is but one of several shows on the Star Wars Underworld Network, which you can check out just in your news feeds on, there's 3 shows on this channel, the Star Wars Underworld channel. So just subscribe. You get 3 podcasts for the price of nothing. It doesn't cost anything. How about that? So yeah, check out that. Obviously, Hannah over the Raeside. We got Tales from Beyond the Galaxy. They have been promising some really cool stuff coming up. Hopefully we'll see something from them pretty soon. And of course, Ion Cannon. So very cool stuff. Jeff, look, man, it's been a long time coming. Glad to have you back. Glad to have you back in the saddle, and we cannot wait to get you back. But please tell the people where they can find you. I know it's not many places, but I know there's at least one place they can find you.
There is at least one place for sure. You can follow me on Blue Sky at GIF52. That's for the listeners. That's JIF52. And I have mostly been retweeting Star Wars stuff. I love video game stuff, some music stuff. That John Williams with him in the wheelchair at Gustavo Dudamel's concert, like that was just incredible. So you can find me on Blue Sky, and then I'm also in the Star Wars Underworld Discord server. As we've been saying, please join it. I've been joining game nights, and it's the vibe with Joel and Ben. It's very similar to this, and we're just chatting, playing Fortnite. Like it is honestly a fun heckin' time. And video games are my other passion other than Star Wars. So, as a longtime listener, thank you for having me.
Yeah, talk to us. We don't bite. Talk, comment, bring in activity.
I might bite a little bit. I don't know, but
tell us. No, I definitely bite. No, it's great to have you back, Jeff, and hopefully don't be a stranger. Come back soon. And,
hey, I remember I used to call you guys in like way back in the day.
I remember.
Use my
phone.
phone.
Yes, the call-in shows. That's not because of you, Jeff, but because of other people. They don't happen anymore because they got, let's just say, unhinged very quickly. And really crazy. And so we decided until we get a designated phone screener, we're just not going to do a call-in show. Not for a while.
Hey, I remember it fondly, so I had fun.
Oh, it was great. It was great. It was just madness, and
this is madness.
Exactly. So
madness.
Yeah. So we like more controlled chaos around here, like you just saw tonight. This was controlled chaos sometimes. You can follow me personally at Ben Hart with no E if you want. I don't know. I usually don't talk much about Star Wars a lot on social media. I usually talk about other things. In fact, I changed my name on Blue Sky because I felt like it was false advertising to say I was Ben Hart, the Star Wars guy, because I really don't talk about Star Wars that much. But yeah, occasionally I do, and then sometimes I don't. Skeet for a month, and then I'll post a whole thread, like 200 words in like a day. So you never know what you're gonna get with me, but it'll be good, maybe. That's it, guys. That's it. That's the show. The music's ending, and we are going to get on out of here. We'll see you guys next week. Pre-celebration party. It's going to be interesting. I don't know what's going to happen. We won't have anything to talk about yet, but we're going to be getting down to business and getting excited because celebration is upon us. But for Dom and Hannah and Chris, wherever they are, and also for Joel and Jeff and me, Ben, it's been a great time, guys. Thank you so much for 15 years. Thank you for tonight. We love you. We hope we see you next week. But until then, may the Force be with you.
It's a wrap.
Blow this thing and head home.
He said the thing.
Classic.
Somebody had to say it.
I love the talking part when it's wrapping up.